Welcome to the deep dive, where we try to cut through the noise and really get straight to the heart of what matters. Today, we're diving into something, well, incredibly potent. It's this thing that casts a long, often kind of suffocating shadow over our lives. The grip of shame and embarrassment. It's this invisible force that so often prevents us from reaching our full potential, from speaking our truth, and honestly, just from getting things done. Our source material for this deep dive comes from some really compelling excerpts of a YouTube video transcript. It's provocatively titled, How to Never Feel Embarrassed Again. It promises a pretty direct, no-holds-barred look at a topic that, let's face it, whether we acknowledge it or not, touches every single one of us. So, our mission today is to extract the most impactful insights from this stuff. We want to help you uncover the surprising, often hidden roots of shame, and maybe more importantly, equip you with the understanding to fundamentally dismantle its power. The goal? Well, to transform your approach to life and ultimately, cultivate some real profound self-acceptance.
And this isn't just about managing discomfort or feeling a little bit better temporarily. What we're really aiming for here is a foundational shift. It's about understanding why these feelings even arise in the first place, recognizing the often invisible generational patterns that might be at play, and ultimately forging a clear path toward truly authentic self-expression. It's about seeing those internal and external pressures working against you and consciously reclaiming your own power.
Okay, so let's start by unpacking one of the most striking points this material brings up almost immediately. This idea that shame and embarrassment are not our natural state. Just think about that for a second. We aren't born knowing what these feelings are.
Precisely. Yeah, imagine a newborn baby. Totally authentic, right? Completely without shame. So if it's not innate, where does this powerful, sometimes really debilitating emotion come from? This material makes a really compelling argument that as we grow up, parents, often without even meaning to, pass down their own belief systems. And these beliefs have been filtered through generations. They can be these deeply ingrained, sometimes frankly toxic ideas that lead a child to think, oh, if I do this, it will be embarrassing, or this is how I must act to be accepted. And then the child starts to neglect their authentic self, favoring that external validation instead.
So it's essentially a learned behavior then, a belief system that's kind of inherited.
Yeah.
The material draws a really strong line here, suggesting that a lot of adult issues, especially insecurity, can be traced directly back to these early lessons in shame. It's almost like you have to go back to the original blueprint to understand the current structure,
That's exactly right. It really highlights the profound, lasting impact of those early experiences. And if we truly grasp that shame wasn't something we were born with, but something instilled in us, well, then we can start that critical process of questioning those limiting beliefs. We can actually ask ourselves, okay, what do I truly believe now? What do I actually stand for? And this is so crucial for distinguishing between what we were taught and what is genuinely aligned with our own well-being and happiness.
Okay, so if we accept that shame is learned, the next obvious question is, well, how do we tackle the heavy baggage from our past? What about forgiving ourselves for those mistakes we carry, sometimes for decades, right? Even when we've long since changed.
Yeah, that's a big one. And a really profound insight from this material is that constantly blaming yourself for the past or feeling like you don't deserve a good life because of something you once did, that's just a powerful form of self-sabotage. It explicitly states you cannot keep looking there and expect a bright future to come because you're stuck in the past and the past doesn't exist anymore. It's this urgent call to acknowledge that you've changed, that you are literally no longer that person. Your past actions don't define your present or future worth.
Right, it's like our brains get stuck on a loop, like a broken record. The material describes how constantly replaying past mistakes or traumas actually makes our brain and body believe we're still in that negative state. So if you endlessly feel embarrassed about something, your brain registers it as if you're doing that embarrassing thing over and over again. It just traps you in this cycle of fear and stops any real movement forward, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Which raises the key question. How do we actively break that loop? The approach suggested here is one of, well, radical ownership. If someone tries to bring up something from your past, you acknowledge it directly. You say, yes, I remember that, and I've changed, I've evolved. What now? The power in that is entirely in your ownership. When you fully own your past, no one can hold it over you. It loses its charge. And when you truly like what you do now, and you feel confident putting it out into the world, no external judgment can actually make you feel embarrassed unless, of course, you grant them that permission.
That is a huge shift in perspective, moving from being a potential victim of your past to becoming the empowered master of your own narrative. And it's this very mastery, isn't it, that frees us from what the Source vividly calls living in a prison of other people's minds, where shame can keep us feeling like their little puppet.
hmm And if we connect this to the broader landscape of human interaction, it offers some really deep insight into why people even try to diminish or shame others in the first place. The material makes a really compelling argument here. Why do they want to put you down? Because they see something in you that you cannot see in yourself, but they see it. Think about that. People who are struggling themselves aren't usually seen as competition, right?
Yep.
It's always those with a certain light and energy, a potential that's starting to bloom that others might instinctively want to dim. So once you recognize and embrace that light within yourself, you become, in the truest sense, incredibly powerful. You become unstoppable, as the Source puts it.
Wow, that's a truly profound thought. So the people who try to shame you are often just projecting their own stuff, their own insecurities, their unresolved issues, because they are, as the Source says quite bluntly, miserable. And they want others to feel the same way. It's a pretty stark warning, then, not to lower yourself for miserable people.
Indeed. And it powerfully reinforces the point that external opinions are, well, fleeting and often deeply unreliable. The same people who might try to shame you today could easily switch sides tomorrow if they see you gaining popularity or success. This fickle behavior is driven by their own insecurity and that tendency to just follow the crowd. Their opinions are just that, their perceptions. They're colored by their own internal world. They're not objective facts about you. It's such a crucial realization. Not everyone will like you. And that's not just normal, it's perfectly okay.
Right. So if someone tells you you're brilliant, that doesn't automatically make it a fact. And if they tell you you're foolish, that doesn't make it a fact either. It's simply their perception. Which means we cannot, and probably shouldn't, truly rely on external validation, positive or negative, to define who we are.
Precisely. And the material takes this a vital step further. It explains that constantly seeking and internalizing other people's opinions can actually lead you to stop trusting yourself. It makes you insecure, hesitant to make your own decisions. You become reliant on others, almost like a child again. What's crucial to realize, and this is key, is that you do know what's best for you, deep down. Others, who aren't living your unique situation, can only offer external perspectives. Useful maybe, but not definitive. The ultimate power lies in trusting your own judgment to make the final call, even if it leads to mistakes sometimes. Because you're still confident in your own agency, that inner power to make your own choices, regardless of all the external noise.
Okay, and this foundational belief in your own agency, your inherent worth, that connects to another really powerful idea in the material, right? That you absolutely deserve whatever blessings you have or aspire to. The Source really challenges that notion that we're somehow meant to struggle. It calls it the biggest lie.
And this raises an important question about self-imposed limitations. When you place restrictions on yourself, or you actively shame yourself for wanting a better, more fulfilling life, you inadvertently block your own path, because you're essentially telling yourself that what you desire is somehow bad or undeserved. The material is adamant. Struggle is not admirable. It's not cool in any area of life, relationships, friendships, work, whatever. If you find yourself having to struggle relentlessly just to keep something together, that's actually a strong indicator that it's likely not aligned with your highest good. You deserve good things simply because you're alive. That's the baseline.
So shame isn't just a feeling, it's described as a fearful emotion, one that keeps us paralyzed, preventing us from taking action, from creating. The material points out that people who truly have no embarrassment, no shame, are often the very ones who get the furthest in life. Even if, maybe especially if, others are initially laughing at them.
Yeah, and what's truly illuminating here is the profound simplicity of self-acceptance as the ultimate shield against this paralysis. When your internal monologue is constantly whispering, oh, this isn't good enough, or this will be so embarrassing, you simply won't create anything significant. You just won't start. This deep dive makes a really poignant statement. It's embarrassing to be old and have a life lived for other people. The core revelation, the big takeaway, is that you are good enough right now with what you have, where you are, and you have to act on that conviction immediately. Don't chase some subjective, ever-receding idea of perfection that will honestly never arrive.
Yeah. It all really comes down to consistently showing up for yourself, doesn't it? Refusing to give up on your own potential, especially when others might. Never, ever dim your light for people who, as this material puts it so pointedly, enjoy being in the darkness anyways.
Wow. Okay, so we've journeyed through some pretty intricate depths there, looking at shame and embarrassment, and we've uncovered what feels like a truly liberating truth. These crippling feelings, they're not actually innate to us. They're not fundamental. They are, in fact, learned beliefs passed down, often unconsciously, keeping us trapped in a past that literally no longer exists, and tangled up in the fleeting opinions of others that can never truly define us.
And if we really connect this to the bigger picture, true liberation seems to come from embracing and owning your past, yes, but also trusting your own judgment above all else and actively rejecting those external pressures that try to diminish your inherent light. What's truly fascinating here, I think, is the profound simplicity of self-acceptance as the ultimate shield. It's this powerful recognition that your intrinsic worth just isn't up for debate by anyone else. It's yours. Right. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to carry forward from this deep dive. If you truly accepted right now, in this moment, that you are good enough just as you are, and that others' opinions are simply their transient perceptions, their stuff, not yours, what is one bold, authentic step you would take today that you've previously held yourself back from? What light would you refuse to dim?